then mildly impressed with everyone else. The fact that tank threat is still a problem in beta makes me big sad. The fact that I'm still leveling characters in pre-patches, big win. And the fact that people showed up to raid and wanted to raid on Tuesday and Wednesday is mildly impressed with everyone else. Showed up, did the head count, and everything went fine on that. It's been a good week.
Very true. Very, very true. Mike, how's everything going in the Spooktober world?
It's pretty good. I played actually completed quite a few games this week. We got Layers of Fear in, we got Carry On in. It's been a lot of fun. I won't lie, I it's been nice to take a break from WoW, but I've been getting that itch. I talked about it on stream a little bit. I'm getting that itch to start playing WoW again, which is surprising. I didn't think I'd have that till Shadowlands actually launched, but I'm getting itch to stream it again.
Yeah. Have you finished Layers of Fear 2 yet, or are you still where you left off the other night?
Yeah, I'm still where I was the other night.
Okay.
Blind walking down a hallway naked somewhere.
James, what have you been up to this week?
Action-packed week of sitting around doing nothing, waiting for Shadowlands.
Still waiting for Shadowlands, yep.
Yeah, I had a good day today, though. I'd rather just talk about my day.
Okay, how was your day?
Political, so I won't. But it was a rally for a candidate. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
And I drive for a living, so I got to drive through town and just, dude, it was bonkers today. It was absolutely insane. And I came to find out it was the Women for a Facebook group. Yeah, a Facebook group. Women for the candidate, which I won't name, but
okay.
Yeah, it was nuts. It felt like 4th of July. There was like hundreds of cars with flags. There were probably at least 600 cars miles long honking and just waving their flags, and it was just insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that. Yeah, other than that, I've just been playing other games. I've been leveling characters in game. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. I've worked a lot this week. Did manage to raid a little bit with the Tuesday Wednesday group. Got to bring my pally in that I'm gearing up. So that was nice. Our Sunday Monday should be interesting to see what happens with that tomorrow.
Should be a big turnout for that, huh?
Played some, Phasmophobia with the boys last night. Had a nice time in the van. It was nice and cozy, nice
What's
and warm in
there. What's your definition
there.
of played, by the way?
Yeah, I don't think there was much playing there.
So yeah.
Van monitor.
Van monitor.
When do we start shaming Mike for not playing with the podcast boys last night since Mike didn't show up?
Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
I had a busy as all heck day. I was out late. By the time I made dinner, took my dogs and all that, it was midnight, and I just chilled with the wife and watched TV.
I think there's a section at the bottom after Q&A. I think the first question is why is Mike a butthead?
Just so you know, Mike, I actually gave Steve shit last night too, because we talked about it earlier in the day. He's like, what time are you going to be home from work? And I'm like, plan to like stream around 11. He's like, bro, my old ass, my old man ass goes to bed at like 1 a.m. and it's like 2:30 a.m. and we're still playing. I'm like, Steve, what happened to your old man ass going to bed at like
anyway?
I know I didn't.
Whatever.
Fun game though. Fun game.
More, then come talk to me, okay?
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Like I told Steve earlier today, even though I did spend a lot of time in the van, it was still some of the most fun I've had recently. And then Steve also gave me shit for playing with the lights on, so we will only have the LEDs on later tonight.
Oh, you mean like your lights? Okay.
Yeah. I like my actual lights in the room. So
my lights were off. I was a true gamer last night.
I mean, so it was very scary, is what you're telling me? You didn't want to leave the van, Cody?
There are moments.
Steve locked me in a room and wouldn't let me out, and the ghost was in there.
Of course they did.
True.
So, yeah, it was a good time though. So I'm excited to see what happens tonight.
Yep, it's gonna be fun.
Send Mike into all the spooky places alone, and yeah. All right, so let's jump into talking about pre-patch. Is the honeymoon phase over for pre-patch? Are we all over pre-patch until we get the second half of it?
No. I love it. Give me more. I'm leveling characters I don't need.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So you're just like...
Well, because other people are leveling characters they do need, so I'm just leveling with them because it's fun.
You leveled your what? Your 4th warlock on Thursday?
So you're just like leveling repeat characters?
Yeah, just to
wait,
just to
4?
do some stuff.
Yeah. He's got 1 horde, 1 alliance, and then 1 Transmog, and then 1 he just leveled. Right?
Wow.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I have 4.
I'd say no for a little bit different reason. I'm just I'm still having fun enjoying like all the changes and whatnot. I actually last week I did quite a bit of push keys. I've been enjoying how like the way Mythic Plus scaling is right now is you're able to push up a couple levels higher and whatnot. So I've got mostly 21s, 22s, 23s in time, like a piece of cake. It was so easy. So I was having fun grinding a little bit of pre-patch Raider IO for the heck of it and whatnot.
But now the actual achievements were gone when pre-patch came out, right? Like the actual season ended, so you can't get like the season rewards anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just been for the heck of it, just for the fun.
Yeah,
it's been enjoyable.
I've still been having fun with pre-patch too. I'm working on leveling up DK. Like I say, I actually got into raid with the Tuesday Wednesday group. Got to take the pally in, so it was nice to see kind of how raid felt on pre-patch. Which some stuff definitely still seemed like it was doing a bit too much damage, even on heroic.
Yeah, you saw them nerf a couple builds that are kind of OP, right?
But for the most part, it felt good. It felt like the tuning was good. I saw that they just actually nerfed Mythic again yesterday in a hot fix. There was another 10% damage and health across the board for all enemies, and then Carapace specifically got actual spell tuning and ability tuning.
Yep.
So
worth mentioning too, they fixed a lot of dungeons that were bugged.
They did
low and high level dungeons that were just not tuned correctly.
Did they fix Pinnacle?
Yeah, they did. They fixed that on like Wednesday.
I think Harlan is fixed too. I don't think you have to fear his wind bursts anymore.
Yeah. Oh my god,
that was.
I didn't even get to talk about that, but that when we were trying to push keys, it was basically doing like easily 2/3 of our health in damage just from one saber from Harlan. The little things that he shoots out that everyone used to ignore.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And we had a melee who we had Boet in there, and I saw this too. Jim was bugged and he was still on his yak mount. So like Boet could literally not see where the wind bursts were coming, so he would just have to guess.
Wow.
Yep, we did the 24 freehold. We ended up having to clear out the entire boss platform for Harlan because like they just did so much damage.
Did you guys still time it or no?
No.
Okay. We had like 38 deaths on Harlan alone.
Okay.
It was bad.
Was rough.
Yeah, it was scaled really badly though. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. All those scales and those fixes went in by Thursday. Like they were.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick.
Pretty on top of it right now. I mean, with that being said, they fixed it at the same time they fixed the BFA content bug too. So, like, you were.
Oh yeah. Where you could lock yourself out of your character essentially.
Yeah, you basically, if you took the wrong breadcrumb quest at 50 to get the Heart of Azeroth, and you didn't do the opening of Borealis, you basically just screwed yourself, and you couldn't get the actual breadcrumb quest to open up Borealis, which sucked. But I mean, that took, I think, a total of like 36 hours for them to fix and hotfix in. So
that's not bad.
No, they're really on it, and I mean, honestly, back to the question of is it still fun and enjoyable? I mean, we've had a bunch of different leveling groups, a bunch of different people jumping in and out of leveling groups, leveling different characters, and it's like it's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. So I have a serious question about the leveling groups.
Yeah.
Your super sweaty nerd group that you guys made earlier this week.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
How many levels did you guys get and how long? Because I know you guys were like min-maxing super ninja sweatbands, headbands, everything was on.
So there was a time frame of about 30 or 45 minutes when we were all together. We were averaging about a dungeon every 7 minutes.
And okay, were you getting at least a level per dungeon?
Yeah, it was pretty much a level and some per dungeon if we had the quests.
It was like almost 2 levels with the XP pot on with the 10%.
Damn.
Extra.
Okay.
It was really bad, and then after that there was a point where Neri had to drop out. Jim came in on his like level 30, and that's like capped level, but he leveled mid dungeon run. So he got access to his 31 skills, which one of the skills was Doomguard.
Oh yeah. I remember this.
Basically, because he had leveled, it gave him the legacy bonus on the Doomguard spell, meaning his Doomguard was hitting mobs for around 260,000.
Oh my god.
8K. So he literally walked in one shot, basically the last 3 bosses in Stratholme because
that's
Jim
great.
Well, I mean, he summoned it heading to the last boss of Strath.
Was it the last?
Yeah. We only got it for
no.
We were already inside, and we were like almost to the last boss, and then he popped it, not knowing it would go away after. So we didn't really get a lot out of it, but it was funny as shit. We were all cracking up. He was just one-shotting everything, every cast. We tried it again the next dungeon though, and it didn't work. So I think it was leveling up,
leveling mid dungeon.
Yeah, it was just a perfect storm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pre-patch has been fun. I'm excited for hopefully maybe next week, if not the following week, for the Undead event to start up. I'm excited to get back into raiding next week with the gold group, and then
is the plan mythic next week or just heroic again? Just
so it's gonna depend, and I keep telling people this, like if we're 1 or 2 people over, I'll probably be like, all right, let's just go do mythic, and I'll just sit myself, and I'll run from the sidelines, and we'll see how mythic goes. But if we have 6 or 7 people over, and
just go into heroic and let people gear up what they're going to play in Shadowlands.
Yeah, we'll just do heroic and we'll just slam it. Same thing as if we're under, I'm not going to stress it, and like if we're at 7,
right,
heroic and just slam it out. Because I mean, that's the thing is people on their characters are going to be playing are still going to need heroic gear right now. So it is what it is.
So I know there has been some confusion with the artifact quest in Legion.
Yep.
Has anyone leveled through Legion and actually experienced like the extra action button confusions or anything like that?
That's the thing is the extra action button confusion was like a 2-day thing where the extra action button was basically being overridden by add-ons. So you couldn't actually find it because it was just like a quest action button. But I know for some people, like they leveled up. James, you leveled up your Warlock, but you didn't go through Legion. There's apparently a part where you need to demonic gateway over something, and you don't have the spell. But they gave you an extra action button that was just getting locked out by a bunch of add-ons and stuff. Same thing with the Rogue. When I watched Boet do it, and he didn't have Smoke Bomb, but like the quest action button was getting Lua aired out of everything.
Oh, okay. I see.
But so was it a case of they didn't have the spell yet?
So they didn't have the spell, but the spell technically gave it to you in the form of an action button, right? So like like the ones where it's like bandage up your wounded allies, right? But in this case, it was, here's your spell, use it as an extra action button to get through the quest. But the problem was there were some UI things that were basically stopping that from happening.
Gotcha.
Just pick a different Chromie time.
Yep, just don't level
basically. I was gonna say, I did the DK one, and the DK one didn't seem to have any problems. Like, I had everything that I.
What do you mean, the Wrath?
No. The Blood DK Legion line.
Oh, okay.
So like, because I was gonna level through Legion, because I don't mind Legion leveling. Like Stormheim, especially, I really love the Stormheim quest, just the quest line as a whole. But I did forget how buggy the start of Stormheim actually getting into the zone can be, and it still is.
Especially if you don't have flying.
So after about 5 minutes of it actually being bugged and not being able to get to the zone, I just said fuck it and went to Duskwood.
Yep, that still is my play for leveling. Is you do 1 through 30 through Cataclysm, and then you just pick something else.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was going to go to Legion is because I already had flying. I was only 25, but since I had flying already on the character, you know. But that Stormheim scenario thing has been an issue since Legion. Like, I remember it being buggy from the start like that, to where sometimes it just wouldn't kick you all the way over into the first scenario, and it would just kick you back to the boat.
And you'd have to start all over again.
And you would just have to, like, continuously sit there, abandon the quest, re-pick it up from again, do it again, and then eventually it would kick over at some point and actually let you do it, but it could take a bit. So I finally just said, screw it, and went somewhere else.
It's important to note too, we found once you hit, I think it's after 30, so anything above 30, if you pick Cataclysm, you'll still be getting scaled down, and you will actually have some of your abilities be unusable. So people might be confused about that. Yeah.
Yep.
And you actually, it says, like, if you were to queue for a dungeon, like, you get end a dungeon, you get the same amount of XP, but you get less XP per mob while you're scaled down. So you're actually nerfing your XP a little bit.
Okay.
The way you get around that is if you don't random queue, if you specific queue for the dungeons that are the higher ones, I believe gets you around that problem.
But then you wouldn't have the end of dungeon
correct.
bonus.
Gotcha.
I'm just telling you, if you're looking to go back through and do those dungeons at that level, you have to specific queue them.
We had a few people confused as to why, like, why my abilities don't work, or why am I getting scaled down? It's because your personal Chromie time affects all that. Not the group you're in, but your personal one.
Yeah. Do you think they'll fix that? Is that a bug, do you think, or
no?
I don't think it's a bug. Yeah, just old world. It's like Steve said, like Kata is basically like the first zone, so it's kind of your early leveling experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to be.
And vice versa, like if you queue for at least this is what I found, like dungeons like Legion, like if you're a low level, yes, you'll scale really high, so you'll do a ton of damage as a fresh like level 10 in a Legion dungeon. But there's a lot of mechanics that you won't be able to deal with because you don't have many abilities yet. You see what I'm saying? Like you need interrupts or you need CCs. The dungeon was built for that. You don't have those at low levels, so you might kind of, while you do a lot of damage, you might not be able to get through a fight if you have all low level characters.
That's true. I never actually thought about that.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Now, have you found it better to dungeon queue or to quest?
Definitely. If you have an instant queue, like dungeon, 100%.
I think the play for that though is you have to have a group that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a tank, you have to have a healer, and you have to have at least 2 slammer DPS to make it worth it. If you don't have that, you're better off just questing.
We're basically what we used to what we were using to beef up our characters was just basically enchants. So you can put Hidden Satyr on your neck at level 10. It's 5k gold on our server, so it's kind of expensive, but you can.
3
and then Elemental Force. It did? Okay, good.
Yeah, 3
and then Elemental Force on the weapon. And that's pretty much all you need. But we were going super sweaty, so we put like shoulder enchants on, leg enchants, armor kits, all of it. It was
up
fun
that night while you guys were putting on your sweatbands and
Oh,
everything, and
Bracer enchants, glove
man.
enchants,
Yeah.
boot enchants.
We weren't going for speed. We were just going for how beefy can we make our characters. Like, and it was
Pods,
fun.
flask, food.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I had a lot of fun.
It was good. It was a good hour and a half, 2 hours while it lasted. Like, it was big pumps, big pumper moments.
All right. So enough with the leveling discussion, because we talked a bunch about that last week as well. Everyone's having fun in pre-patch. We had something new hit the store this week in WoW.
A new mount?
No, people. I think I would rather see a mount than see these things.
What do you mean? James is rocking him currently.
What are your thoughts on the whole paid transmog sets? That is this going to be a one-time thing? Are there going to be more of these coming out? Do you think? Do you think they? Because I heard an interesting take on this, and that is we know they're creating the free mount, the community mount that was voted on for Shadowlands. So do you think this is a switch to where they're doing like this paid armor set in place of that free mount?
Well, no. So first things first, the thing that came out this past week was just the wings on that model. The armor set is something that's been data mined in Shadowlands, so everyone's like, oh, it's one and the same.
Oh, so the actual armor set isn't out yet, it's just the wings.
Correct.
No. You have the armor set.
You have the armor set too?
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
it was just
Yeah,
the wings.
I thought it was the whole armor set.
Yeah, the whole thing's out.
Okay, well, fuck me then. All right. I don't know then, because that's
Well, here's. Do you guys? I don't know. This is my personal thought on where this came from. I think it was the BlizzCon.
the footy pajama
item.
thing.
Yeah, I think the armor set was the BlizzCon. What they intended to give when you ordered the ticket.
So, I heard that thought too, but the counter to the whole argument that it was for BlizzCon is all the BlizzCon stuff typically has some kind of BlizzCon symbolism on it, like
True.
the Woolly from last year, the zipper has the BlizzCon logo and
That's
stuff
not
on
100% true. I can think of one mount that doesn't have any kind of BlizzCon thing on it, and it's the Sky Screamer.
Does
Alliance.
the ship have one?
No, that's what I'm saying.
The ship doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Sky Screamer mount.
Oh, okay.
So the little two-seater ship.
That was a BlizzCon thing, wasn't it?
Yep, that was a BlizzCon mount.
Well, plus it's usually just like you said, a subtle little tag. And if this was for BlizzCon, they would just remove that.
I mean,
before
they could very
it.
easily remove it. True.
Yeah, I don't think this was for BlizzCon per se. I think this was. I mean, I think they've had something like this planned all along for like the 6-month thing. I think this is kind of like a trial run to see how much kind of growth the 6-month thing gets, because they've been giving out mounts for the 6 months. For a
They
while
have.
now.
Yeah.
So I mean, this could just be, because I mean they had the T-Mog Fire and Ice Crowns back in whenever they were on the store, and now they have this, which it's whatever. Like, I think this is their way of testing the waters with purchasable T-Mogs, like full set T-Mogs.
Yeah, this is the first full set, I believe, that they've ever had. Minus, like, we got the full set for pre-ordering Shadowlands, but
that's what I was gonna say. Is the Shadowlands pre-order? Would you consider that a paid transmog as well?
Yes, but not like this one.
But not like this one.
It wasn't a standalone. Like, you're not just paying for. You're getting you're getting an expansion and other stuff with it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird situation right now.
It just, I wish they would tell us, which they probably won't, because if it was, then I would be kind of upset. I'm like, why not maybe just give it to us for free? Like, oh, sorry, BlizzCon's not here, but this is what you would have got, so here you go.
Right.
Well, we're supposed to have BlizzCon, a virtual BlizzCon in February.
Yeah.
So my thought if this is supposed to be a BlizzCon thing, why would they give it to us now, not just in February? I mean, I know BlizzCon was canceled, but they still also announced a date for a virtual one. I mean, which is still going to have all the virtual goodies, according to what they said.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is like, we don't know if that's going to be a full out BlizzCon or not, because
no, we do. We know it is.
Well,
they've already said they're going to keep it as normal as possible.
Have they put out more info on it? Because the first thing I heard is it was basically only going to be like the esport competitions, and as far as we knew, there wasn't going to be any major game announcements or dev updates or anything like that on it.
I mean, they've got like talent competitions.
Yeah, they have their cosplay competitions and stuff like that. They typically do.
That's a fun one.
They're supposed to do the cosplay and the talent. I vaguely remember somewhere saying that they were still going to do like panel-esque type things, but whether that actually comes to fruition or not,
I want to say they sent a link out like, we'll like send us your questions now and we'll pick them and then answer them. So there'll be no live Q&A as far as I know, but you can submit questions.
Correct.
It's not going to be the BlizzCon that we know, right? Because it's not. But I'm very interested and optimistic to see what they give us.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested, because depending on what it is, like, I'm not going to buy a ticket if it's just like the esports stuff and community stuff.
You guys think the ticket's going to be the same price as a normal BlizzCon?
It better not be.
Oh my god! If it is,
I mean, here's the thing: if they make it a full weekend, if we still get panels, if we still get trailer drops, if they come out later and they say, yeah, we can do trailer drops, we can do panels,
then it's worth it.
All of these goodies, we still are going to have an online show of this entertainer.
Yeah, that's what I was. Okay, like, you better give me a live band.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if they keep it like a regular BlizzCon, right, not just a, absorb the information at your will BlizzCon, I can see that still holding its ticket value, maybe dropping at $5-10. However, if it's something like, here's your community stuff, here's the talent competition, here's this, here's your esports, then there won't be a ticket price attached to it.
I just don't.
It's just hard to say what it's going to be at the moment.
Right. Like, I don't know if they're ready to unveil a new game or anything. I would be interested to see what they have for Diablo 4. But other than that, it's like, what are they going to show us?
I think the big stuff you would get is you would probably get a preview of whatever 8.1 or 8.0 or 9.1 or 9.05 would possibly have for Shadowlands, because I know they've done that before, right? Like,
with
Shadowlands, the original launch date for Shadowlands would have been what, like August? If the whole pandemic thing wouldn't have happened and the work from home stuff wouldn't have happened, it would have been like an August date. I think they said it was supposed to be like an early Q4 thing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be early Q4.
So you would have had a couple months there. You probably would have gotten the 9.1 information about what was coming next.
What was coming, what was changing, all of that. It would basically be what they did in Legion, where it was they dropped the expansion the month before, and everyone's like, okay, well, there's nothing they can announce for WoW, because there's nothing new. And then they're like, oh, by the way, here's a Karazhan trailer, and this is our mega dungeon for Karazhan. This is your 8.5 content or whatever.
I don't know. For WoW, for me though, I don't want to see any of that until they fix the current state. Like, I don't care what you have planned 6 months. You can't even balance classes right now. Like, I don't want to see new shit.
We're still talking about 6 months from now. Like, we're still.
No, didn't you say
it's February?
End of February.
February, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 months.
Yeah, so 4 months. If the game comes out in December, you'd be looking, that's 2 months since launch. At least give us something about what was coming up.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. I mean, the other thing is the TBC Classic announcement that everyone's fucking
that would be huge.
True.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here and say that they're probably going to have some kind of Hearthstone update, and then
there's also Overwatch 2.
You'd probably have a Hearthstone update. You'd probably have your Overwatch 2 updates about what's going on with that. You'd probably have your next Diablo 4 quarterly thing.
How
No more
big will the
StarCraft,
talent
though.
tree grow this time?
Well, so just touching on that real quick, the next quarterly update for Diablo 4, I think, is going to be the big one that can cause a bunch of community uproar, depending on what comes out with it, because it is all about gear. It is all about the loot system, gearing, all that kind of stuff is supposed to be the next quarterly update that they do on it. So
we could actually probably get a new class too. I was thinking for BlizzCon, so they might have some stuff to show us. The BC though is going to be huge because the BC is arguably private server wise more popular than Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
that's right. They're ruining Hearthstone with corruption, by the way.
I mean, that's.
Oh, really?
So that's where it went.
But I mean, either way, February. I think February is enough time. If they're gonna do panels and things, they can still do panels and things. And I mean, they have stuff that they can announce because they're not gonna wait till Gamescom or something in the middle of summer to announce it. That's too long.
By the way, can we just appreciate like the Activision greed and how they get away with it? So literally, people hate corruption, right? Number one thing you hate about BFA, worst thing they ever did is corruption. Now they're charging you for it on a different game.
Although, to be fair, Hearthstone has kind of always been like a patch behind when it comes to like WoW content.
True.
Yeah.
It's
so
just
funny to me.
Like they go through the steps just one step after the WoW community does. So I guess logical progression would be that, but it's still kind of scummy.
It's just like if you're a WoW player and you play Hearthstone, you're like, why would I pay for corruption? I just got rid of it.
Yep.
A couple other changes from this week, or any other thoughts on the Transmog stuff? Like, how do you think the community response was for it?
I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, they've been giving away mounts and whatnot for what at least a couple of times now. I mean, they can't give away. I mean, they can give away mounts forever, but I think maybe they're like trying to branch out with different options and see if maybe they can get away with just giving transmog sets or whatever.
I mean, they gave you the Tyrael's Charger mount back when freaking Diablo 3 dropped, and you had 6 months of game time
just for logging in. Yeah,
just for logging in. Like, they've been doing this for a while, and I don't think it's going to stop. I think this is just them rewarding the people that are there. However, I do have one fucking gripe, and that is they should also, if they're going to do that, they should reward the people that have been subbed for the last 6 months, even if it's not a 6 month,
even if it's not the 6 month subscription.
Because I pay month to month just simply because I'm too fucking lazy to switch over to the 6 month whatever. But like the fact that I'm not getting these cool mounts, even though I've never had my sub lapse, kind of sucks.
It's okay. Well, you can buy them for $25 after they're off the 6 month.
No problem.
Well, I'm the same way. Like a $15 hit's much easier to deal with than I think it's like 77 or something like that.
77 every 6 months.
Yeah,
but you pay less over the 6 months.
Oh yeah,
it that way.
Yeah, but it's the all at once versus in small increments being able to.
No, I get it. So. Yeah, I would like to see them do something for people that use tokens too, like the people that just play buying tokens. Like it just kind of sucks for them. These mounts, they're never gonna get them. And it's just, that's too bad.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, they're buying tokens with in-game money, so Blizzard isn't really making anything off of that.
Right, but like Steve's saying, if you have a person that's
I mean, yeah, I get it. It would be nice, but
well, I think you might be able to buy it if you convert to Blizzard Balance. You might be able to buy it through.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
the WoW store.
Not like worth it efficiently, but you could.
You could, true.
But to answer your question, I don't think. I mean, it's a paid T-Mog, paid mounts, paid T-Mogs. The community never likes it. I think if you go to their their YouTube video, I think it had something like, I'm just guessing, I looked at it this morning, it was like something like 2,000 likes to like 25K dislikes or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So that tells you, right, that like people hate it. They hate it. And the thing that sucks about it is I think it really hurts the image of the game. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with that. Like it can definitely hurt the image of the game, especially because you're already paying for the game.
Yeah, it just comes off slimy and just, it doesn't bother me, but we need more new players in the game. And this kind of thing, I don't think helps get new players into the game. So I would like to see them stop doing it personally, even though I get the mounts for free because I'm on a 6-month. But yeah, I'd like to see them stop doing it because I think it just puts a bad image over the game.
True. Fair. All right, let's talk about something we talked about last week. And we were talking about the nerf to drinking, which led us to talk about the sugar-crusted fish feast and how that was still working, which then Blizzard came out and was like, actually, no, it doesn't.
So is that our fault? Were they watching? I'm sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry.
I think they must have knew.
Everyone point to it. We did this. This is us.
Yes, we're in there, dude.
This is
oh,
us.
it's the other side.
You're
we
welcome.
did. We did that. That's us.
I was gonna say, like, it definitely seems like it's like they don't like this in the game. They realize that people are using it to get around it. Like they were gonna fix it eventually anyway, so it didn't surprise me one bit.
Well, if you read the other one too, the extra sugary fish feast that they added in, the other one was 10% health and mana every second. This one is over 20 seconds. They nerfed how the entire mechanic of it worked.
Oh, did they really?
Just what you want to do in a Mythic Plus, right? Sit down and eat for 20 seconds between pulls.
Yep. Yeah, like that one hurts. And they also finagled that one to where like the well-fed buff. Oh man, it sucks. It's really bad.
What do you think they're trying to like change by, like, what do you think they're trying to eliminate by changing these things?
I mean, the fish feast is specifically targeted from the water change. Like, I hate to be that guy, but that's specifically what it's after, because people were using the fish feast to get around
as a workaround.
As a workaround to the water nerf, because people could just drop the fish feast and go back up to full mana and not be affected, because it technically counts as you eating and not drinking.
Right, but what do you think they're like with the water nerf? And this is connected to that. It's all one thing.
It's nerfing PvP, because the way, and Mike's PvP'd a lot as a healer, so he can kind of answer this. The moment you get out of combat in arena right now, you drink, your mana bars are full, like instantly. If not after 2 seconds, you're like 3/4 of the way done with your mana bar. Like, it's just to minimize the ability to sit and immediately drink back up to full.
So is it just too hard to code that to only affect arenas? Or are they just not wanting to bother to code it to just
I don't think they
arena?
like it. I don't think they like it in general. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it's
supposed to be how it works in general. Like, the doing an M+2, being able to sit and then like out heal Grievous through a food buff, or being in like just a Mythic Plus and be like, okay, I'm sitting and eating and now I'm back to full health, like with 2 seconds after being just sitting and doing nothing.
So for M+ kind of goes back to maybe they're forcing us to, it's that choice thing, right? Like, you're not going to have the cushion of being able to sit down and get your health real quick or your mana back real quick.
Right.
So you're going to have to think about what you're casting more, maybe.
Correct.
That's what it seems like they're doing.
Yeah, that's basically what it is they're making you more, rather than, oh, I can sit and eat this to pump out a little bit more damage, and then I can heal up afterwards with food or water. They're taking that away, and they're now making you punished for taking that bit of damage by actually having to sit and eat.
And I was going to say too, what you brought up with Grievous is another good point, because that's what you do on like Grievous on bursting weeks. Like, you'd spam click the fish feast in order to, so your healer doesn't have to try and heal you. It just, like, the fish feast just brings you back up in health.
But see, that actually added some utility to mages, I felt like, which is gone now.
Well, no, that was only something specifically for Fish Feast. The Mana Buns was good, but you still needed a little bit of extra love from the healer.
Yeah, of course.
But
it just helped
the
your healer, basically.
Yeah, but the Fish Feast was literally you sat and you ate the Fish Feast for 2 seconds and you were full, and Grievous was gone.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
a
Fish
little
Feast
too
needed
strong.
to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I mean the mana bun thing is still gonna work as of right now.
No, of course it's going to work. They're not going to change that. Like, there's numbers tied to the Mana Buns.
Wait, but isn't that water?
Yeah, but it's the way the water one works is it's the amount that you get over time, right? So
Right.
you get incrementally slower.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they're more so talking about like the health it gives back.
Yeah, I'm talking about the health,
Oh,
just
okay.
instantly giving it back to you and going, here, you're full health. Fuck Grievous. Sorry,
Yeah.
heck
True.
Grievous. We're
Heck
PG here.
Grievous. Yeah, so we had that change come out. Thoughts on the explosive changes?
This was the greatest change I've ever played in Mythic Plus.
I agree.
This was the greatest change ever, especially as a tank.
Because you
Just
can actually
plain
help
simple.
with them as a tank now.
I have never gotten so many explosives on my bear. Like, I literally would just tab Moonfire, and they would die. There was a boss we were testing in beta, and it was the second or third boss in this, and where the ads spawn up all around the room, and I'm like, just go kill the ad. I got the explosives. I just sat there and I Moonfired. That was it.
So
that is the greatest change ever. It needs to stay.
Now, it is a good change, and we experienced something in beta 2 when we were doing keys earlier this week, and it was the second boss in Halls of Atonement, the one that summons all the imps, turns them to stone. We had like 6 or 7 explosives spawn all at one time. So this begs the question of, with explosives being a one-shot now, no matter what level the key is, are you going to see more of them spawn at one time because they're easier to get rid of?
I don't think you'll see more spawn. I think you'll see... I mean, there's a lot more bosses that have those kind of add spawn mechanics into it. At least from what I've seen, or they're summoning something from across the room that has a health bar that could spawn it outside around different places. So I don't think you'll see more. I just think they know that getting over to them could be a bit more of a pain in the ass.
The old explosive was for not being a seasonal, right? It's not your 10 plus
It
buff.
was annoying.
It felt like a 12 plus buff on certain dungeons. Great example is explosive on the snake one that you hate, Steve.
Oh,
I
can't think.
Yep.
Yeah, Temple. The last boss, like with all those ads that are all around, they could all spawn explosives.
Oh yeah,
and it's
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
If you have instant
explosive weeks,
if you have instant DPS classes like a Frost Mage, stuff like that, a BM Hunter, it was easy, right? Not easy, but it was manageable. But your dot classes, forget about it. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it made your even. I mean, here's the thing: even on your instant DPS classes, like your mages or whatnot, it still took 1 or 2 instant casts to kill those. Like, this change was. It felt like a change that should happen to a 7 affix.
It should have been what it always was. And the thing that we had with all of them spawn at once, that does happen anyway right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a chance.
Happens.
Like it's.
Yeah.
It was just. I was just curious at what your thoughts.
I hope they don't increase it.
They shouldn't, because right now, if they cap it at 5, like there's only the ability to be 5 up at a certain number of time.
That would be fine.
Feel like no, I think it's bad, because then you could just pull 18 groups together and then
True. Okay. 5. True.
Too predictable is the problem with that.
Correct. So I think they shouldn't cap it. They shouldn't reduce it. They shouldn't do anything to it. I think where it is right now is fine. Having it be a one shot is absolutely okay, because at that point your healer can take care of it. Your tank can take care of it.
Anyone can help with them.
Anyone can do it.
Even a warlock.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that as a healer, like just being able to one-shot them. There's times when I'll throw like a holy shock at it or whatever, and it won't die, and it's like, well, hopefully someone gets that. I see it at a third of its health, so that's especially exciting for me.
Yeah, it's especially for holy pallies that like to pump damage and go out of mana.
Excuse me.
Anyways, okay, let's move on to beta.
Okay, he is a cutting edge holy paladin healer.
Here we go.
That likes to pump damage. Okay.
And don't you ever forget it.
Forget it. Don't you forget it.
Oh my god.
So, beta changes this week.
Can we get out the funeral music for Shadow Priest?
Wait, do you have the clip, Cody? Were you able to get the clip of Steve saying that they're going to nerf Frost Mage last week?
I did not.
Yeah,
I didn't have a chance.
That one didn't age well, did it, Steve?
No, it did not.
Okay. We'll wait and we'll see who comes out laughing at the end of this fucking class tuning. Okay.
No, they're gonna get nerfed, but it's like,
So
they're going to get the long dick of the law.
Just let me have this for this week, okay?
Okay, so before we talk about the unnecessary Frost Mage buffs, let's talk about the complete destruction of Shadow Priest
that they then sort of reverted with another hotfix buff. Because they buffed some of the damage back again.
This reason right here is why people are concerned to play Shadow as a main.
But it's nothing new.
It is so unpredictable with what they do with this class. It's either really good and then gets completely nerfed into the ground and then gets super buffed and is god tier again. Like, it's so all over the place.
It's always been that way.
It's always been that way.
Yep.
This past week on Wednesday when it dropped, they took like 20% off of their Mind Blast, like 15% off their Mind. Like, they took a ton off of all of their main damaging stuff.
Right.
But then they're like, let's just up the sanity or the insanity generation on most of it. And then there was something that was like noted in the hot fixes to where it was like testing something for a stun on Mind Blast. So I'm wondering if they're adding back in a Mind Blast stun somewhere, which would be interesting.
That's like classic Shadow. I remember
That's like classic Shadow.
Yeah.
But then they come back through and they retune everything back upwards again. And it's just like, what was the point of those?
They have zero idea what they're doing, because like the big one I remember too is they hit Devouring Plague on both ends. It was like the initial damage and the periodic damage got hit.
And then they turned it into a rolling ignite, basically. They just don't know what they're doing. They don't have a single idea on how Shadow should be played or what Shadow should be.
They don't.
What is the difference between Shadow and Warlock then? Because Warlock, it's like they've always been good, and even when they're broken, they nerf them and they're still like top 3. But Shadow, nope, they're too good. They're bottom now when they get nerfed. I don't get it.
I think the problem is VE. Personally, I think the problem is VE. Because VE is directly tied into the amount of damage that they can do, is healing they can kick back out. So they can't be like, let's be top damage, but then also have it be so overpowered that it can heal entire groups with VE through heavy portions of damage. That's my thought on it, is VE adding a healing component tied into damage is very hard for them to balance.
But why? I mean, why though? Because
you take the healing component off VE, you basically got it. It's nothing.
Right.
And if you cut it in half, it's all useless fun to push.
Why not let Shadow Priest be strong and be able to utilize VE as a major raid cooldown through heavy portions of damage? Because
then it turns into the portion of they're doing top damage, they're doing through spikes of healing. It would basically be like what is it, Resto or Elemental Shaman and Enhancement Shaman back when Healing Stream Totem was really good and Healing Rain was even better, to where those DPS classes could put those things down and you would basically be able to cut out 1 to 2 healers based on how many of those you had. So like all of a sudden, if you bring 4 Shadow Priests into the mix that are doing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th damage, they're now also cutting out, we can cut this healer out and we can now bring an extra DPS. It's just, VE being tied to their damage dealt is very hard to balance.
I mean, reduce the percent of damage that reduce that damage, whatever that percentage of damage into healing, like you could reduce that, or maybe put it on a major cooldown. Like maybe treat it like, I don't know, like a lay on hands or something, to where it has like a 10-minute cooldown once you use it, if it's going to be such a strong like CD that you completely gut the damage of the class.
But at that point, then why not? I mean, that's basically what they were going to do with Warriors, right? With Spell Reflect, is if that Spell Reflect legendary stayed the way it was, you'd be mandated to bring in 4 Warriors for Spell Reflect to give your raid the constant 60% DR on magic damage. Because simply that's what it was. It was that good. You were forced to bring it. So if you're being like, okay, well, this is now a 5-minute raid CD that is God tier, but we only need it every 2.5 minutes. Well, let's bring in 3 Shadow Priests, 4 Shadow Priests to cover us the duration of the fight for those heavy spikes of damage. True,
I see that.
One point I was going to make too. I mean, Warlocks, James was talking about how Warlocks always still find a spot and all that. They also have 3 different damage specs, and they give all the utility in when you've got like Gate and
Gate, Hellstone, Soulstone.
Yeah. So I think there's always going to be a place in Raid for them, even at just one, even if they're all 3 specs are somehow bad at the same time. I think that's why you
would still bring a Warlock at least for utility.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm totally just using my own brain on why I think they can't get the class right. I have no idea. It's all speculation in myself.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just telling you in my brain what makes it strong.
I mean, that can make sense though. Like, absolutely, that could make sense on why it's so hard to balance Shadow.
Well, they've also always scaled well with like stats, right? Just something about the haste and crit scaling with Shadow has always been through the roof. Like you can do nutty shit at high levels.
They're almost like Affliction Warlocks, right? Like Affliction always scales better as the expansions go on too, because of the same reason. Affliction scales so well with gear.
Right. I don't know. I wish they'd I like where Shadow is now. Like their changes gameplay wise. Like we were running with one of my buddies, and he brought a friend of his that just plays classic and private servers, and this was the first character he had made on retail ever. And he was saying he was amazed. He played Shadow and he was like, this is the most fun class I've ever played in this game. He's like, they just knocked this out of the park. Like it's so fun to play. So I think they're halfway there. I wouldn't scrap how it plays. I think it's just tuning. And they don't have it yet.
I think what they need to do is they need to. This is gonna get me so much hate. They need to take VE away, and the way they take VE away is they tie it into a button almost like void form, to where when you're at max sanity or something, or when you're dealing damage in shadow form, you're doing 20% of it. Like don't make it a buff, don't make it a 30 45 second, whatever it is, minute long CD. Tie it in. They need to tie VE into something else that is directly tied to their insanity pool and the resources that they have.
Did you guys ever play Shadow Priest for Karazhan? Or did you ever have one in your group? That was so broken, man.
Yeah,
that wasn't even health. That was mana. Like I was a holy paladin. Yeah. Like I just remember healing in Karazhan and Grolls and all that. And if I didn't have a Shadow Priest, I'd be halfway through the fight. If I did, my mana would never move.
That's the other thing they can do now, is if all the healers are supposed to have mana issues,
right?
Bring VE back to bring mana every time you deal damage.
I've always said I prefer them as like a specialist, because they are primarily priests have the 2 healing specs, right? So your 1 DPS is like a specialty spec, and I think that's what it should be, like a mana, like kind of a bard in the sense of you're replenishing mana.
It should be a mana battery.
The mana battery may not be a bad idea to go back to that route.
And just have it not affect the raid, right? Just the group, like Shaman right now with Wind Fury.
Yeah, just
So
put
you
it,
could bring
put
more
it in the
than
healer
one.
group.
Yeah.
You bring like that's how you get them to bring minimum one, right? Is like you make make VE a mana battery, make it a full-time buff, make it a mana battery. Per sanity spent into a spell gives whatever back to the healers, right? You turn them into a mana battery, but it's only for that group.
Right.
And it does two things. It mandates that you have one, and it allows you the flexibility to where if you don't have one, you're not in terrible shape, but it will help.
Can you imagine putting that in a group with an arcane mage?
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Or you just stack 4 of them with an arcane.
Yeah. That's...
Oh boy.
Maybe that'd be worse than it is now, but gosh, it would be fun.
Yeah, but you'd have to have 4 Shadow Priests that can play out of their mind to keep it going.
Right.
True.
That's where I'd like to see them go with it personally.
Yeah, I think mana battery Shadow Priest wouldn't be terrible. I think you take the healing off of it a little bit, you cut it like way back, and you give them mana battery, and I think that's a good spot for them. I think having them be that, I mean, because every other spec of disc or whatever, like if the shield breaks on your target, you get mana back, or you have mana fucking fiend, or like
right.
I think mana battery is the way you play them.
And there's plenty of classes that don't have any mana issues, so you really wouldn't need one. Like in Mythic Plus, if your group, had nobody that had mana issues. But boy, like that would give them so many more spots in groups if you had something like that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. If you went the mana battery route with what we were just talking about with the drinking nerfs, that would also make them that much better in Mythic Plus now, because you just nerfed the quality of life of being able to sit and drink in between packs with healers.
True.
And for the people that are saying it's VT and BC, yeah, I know it wasn't VE that did it, but I'm just saying you can make that button do what that is. And Disc Priest 100% brings for it, and 9 times out of 10 you're wanting a Disc Priest.
Even if they made it like a cooldown, right? It's not 100%. It's like a cooldown, so you have like targeted spots where you can have that mana regen. Yeah, it's like a Disc Priest, but for DPS and like a little hybrid utility. I think it would be so much fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
It'd be better than like having 20 of them in the first tier raid and then none of them the rest of the expansion.
None of them the rest of the expansion.
Yeah.
Or Shadow Priest.
Feels bad.
All right, now that the funeral music is done for Shadow, let's everyone.
Do we have to talk about this?
Yes.
Hang on. Actually, before we move on, Mike, I need you to do something for me after the stream. I need you to clip that whole Shadow Priest section. Just Steve. Don't include any of us in here. Clip it, send it to the Shadow Priest Discord, and just grab your popcorn.
Boy, they'd have a fun time with that one.
Dude, people hate me already. It's fine. I don't care.
All right, everyone go ahead and roll out your red carpets, get your trumpets. The king of frickin' Shadowlands beta.
I'm walking away from this conversation. Why?
Go ahead and buff Frost Mages, Blizzard. Why not?
I'll tell you why.
Because they needed James, go ahead and
they needed
take
okay?
the floor.
They needed it.
We are utterly and completely useless without Ice Lance, okay?
None
of our abilities hit for shit.
Would that be
They
toxic?
nerfed Frozen Orb, okay? They nerfed our Covenants. Heck 'em. All they gave us was 1 buff to a Soulbind Conduit, okay?
That was like a 15% damage increase.
Yes, we needed it.
To an ability that was already pulling threat. Boy.
Look, we are already mediocre in raids, okay? We're not keeping up with Warlocks as it is, so this is not going to change
Bullshit.
that. We don't have any multi-dot cleave. Okay, we have a Frozen Orb, which half the time goes through a target or goes into the ground and disappears. I like the buffs. I think they were needed. Give me some more.
He wants more.
I'm gonna put you over with the holy paladins that are like, "Can you please love us a little bit?" And just be like, "Let's see what happens."
Okay, at least
on Icy Veins.
They haven't changed anything.
Look, 100%
don't
uptime on
get it,
Icy
dude.
Veins is not broken, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that your
okay.
main CD?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
aside from Time Warp, yeah. Yeah.
Just go ahead and give us 100% on Time Warp while you're at it, Blizzard, because
Can I get 100% uptime on Avenging
that's
Wrath
the
of
route that we're
Paladin?
going.
Since they are watching, we've confirmed it. I just want to let you know that the nerf to Frozen Orb was a little bit too much.
Oh
my
my
God.
I'm done.
All right, I'm leaving.
done.
I'll see you
We're
guys
moving
next
on.
And if you look at overall, Blizzard could use a little bit of a damage increase too.
Do we just
you-
want to? All right.
I mean, it is
Mike,
the name of the company after all. So.
Mike, Cody, do you guys want to just
Look.
walk away while he has 5 minutes to himself and just let him get all this
Should we
from?
I'm
go
sorry.
ghost hunting
Yeah,
now?
I think that might be the play.
Have you guys seen enhancement shamans numbers since they
No,
buffed
we'll
them?
get to get
Okay.
to that point.
Okay.
Down the list. If you
All
read
right.
the script for tonight, it's down there, buddy. Just give
Look,
us a minute.
In all seriousness, I said this in Discord throughout the week. It's just really strange to me that all these new tuning and all these new builds, when you really look at it, like more than half of these builds, it's one frickin' ability that's doing all the damage. That's it.
Yeah, I do remember you saying this. Yeah.
It's just so weird. I don't like that personally, but I mean, if
So
it's what it's
for-
gonna be, it's what's gonna be, I guess.
So what is it for Frost Mages? It's Ice Lance. What is it for other classes?
Shaman, it's just Wind Fury. It's just your passive Wind
Okay.
Fury attacks. It's just you had Arms Warriors had it in BFA for a while with their bleed. You had. Do I have to remind you about Ignite?
Yeah, ignite damage was stupidly
Beast
high.
Cleave. Like it's just you can almost look at every class that has DPS and at least one of their specs is like that. It's just awesome.
Shadow Priest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah. And I
boy.
So technically it's what we asked for though, right? Because it's not borrowed power. Ice Lance is not a borrowed ability.
I mean,
like we're borrowing stuff to enhance
that
it.
is true.
I think you're borrowing. I think you're borrowing that buff though, there, James.
Well, yeah, you're borrowing the conduits and stuff, but still, Ice Lance is Ice Lance, you know.
No. I just mean that they buff Frost Mage and they're gonna nerf you to the ground.
No.
So those were the two major. I would say,
there's one more at the bottom.
Oh, there's one more at the bottom. So let's.
The shaman is.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of like class changes this week, Shamans and Wind Fury Totem, anybody?
Shout out to my man Tickle. Hey,
Literally, you watch a shaman press every button and do 20k burst DPS, and just like you can have that mob now. I don't want it anymore as a tank. You just don't get to keep it. There's no button in any tank arsenal, not even taunt, will give you enough threat to stop a 20k burst. I have no fucking clue what Blizzard is doing with this. I physically don't understand.
Look, what did I say
what
before?
you're thinking?
Before Shadowlands, I was like, if they bring this back, I'm playing it. Do you remember what it was?
It was Wind Fury Totem.
Yeah.
I remember what it was.
And it's back. Oh, it's back, baby. It's back.
The main
I linked it to Krangus, my overall, and he just cried. He was like, "That's beautiful."
Oh boy.
It's better than classic Wind Fury now. It's so much fun.
Ridiculous.
I didn't even have conduits, by the way.
The 20k.
Oh, that's
DPS
without
burst,
conduits.
That was without conduits.
Oh my god!
On a fresh
out
shaman, I had nothing. It was just I had made that tune that night.
I was literally weeping trying to hold thread off of it.
I had no energy to change conduits because this new energy system is a complete and utter. We've already talked about that, but yeah, I had no energy, so I had to run with LE conduits. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about all the buffs and stuff to DPS classes this week. Tanks got absolutely nothing besides like defensive changes. Tank still can't hold threat worth a shit on beta.
Certain tanks.
There's literally one tank that can hold threat right now, and it's freaking Prop Paladin, Vengeance, Demon Hunter. The two big pumper tanks. Congratulations, you can hold threat. But if you're not either of those, then screwed.
Even then, it's not. You still can't hold threat that well necessarily, because I was on the prop pally earlier this week, and James was still pulling threat off of me with a misdirect, with popping Avenging Wrath, dropping Consecrate, Divine Toll. All it would take is like 1 or 2 Ice Lances, and he would still rip threat off of mobs, even with all of that, on one of the bigger pumping tanks right now on beta.
I'm just like, threat modifier, please. Just put it in. Stop making tank life so fucking difficult. Just do it. I
mean,
get
you guys
that
are missing.
the 2 out. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, you guys are missing that. What is it? 45%.
We're missing a threat modifier.
We're missing 45%. We're missing 15% per minor essence unlock in our Heart of Azeroth.
And I mean, here's the thing.
It doesn't make sense.
It's if they want tank threat to be harder than it is now, that's fine. Maybe it doesn't have to be the full 45% threat modifier. Reduce it down to 30 or 25 or something like that. But we need something to make it so we're not losing aggro on every single pull, or even losing aggro through using major cooldowns and external threat modifiers like misdirect and tricks of the trade and stuff like that. Like, it shouldn't be doing that.
I was on my bear. I had 2 MDs and a rogue tricksing me. Or no, I had 1 MD and one MD, 1 tricks, or 2 MDs. One of the
I think you had 2 MDs. You had 2 MDs.
It was 2, and then here comes Shaman Boy over here, and it's like nothing I did with Berserk, with damage amp. I got extra thrash procs, taunting, nothing.
To be fair though, the like 20k burst was with, I popped a potion, I popped heroism, I popped ascendance, and I had my wolves out. And then I just started hitting the boss, and next thing I knew, I saw 20k, and I was just like, what the hell's going on? It's just all Wind Fury.
That was the moment you fell over and died.
Yeah.
Because everything turned and
it's gonna get nerfed because what's making them do this is the buff they buff the legendary Doom wins. So what it does now is, so it's on a 1 minute cooldown. You can't benefit more than once per minute. But when you drop your Wind Fury totem, all of your attacks proc Wind Fury, and it does 100% increased damage for 12 seconds every minute. And it's just made Shaman. They are, what's fun about them is it's controlled, and yeah, it's a cooldown and stuff. But when, like I was telling Steve, even when I don't have that, I have other AoE abilities to use in between. So it's like I'm a beast at single target, and I'm pretty decent at AoE as an enhancement shaman, and they just feel so good.
What covenant ability were you running? Were you running like Chain Harvest or
Harvest?
Because it was my Ellie shaman.
Okay.
I just switched it to enhance for the first time and bought new weapons and stuff.
What would you run? Ideally, do you think?
So it just depends what you're doing. If you're like only running a certain spec, like I believe enhancement right now, Kyrian has a slight advantage with the Vesper Totem. But I personally hate that gameplay. I think Vesper Totem is crap. So I would still use Chain Harvest, probably. Yeah.
I would just use Chain Harvest on any shaman that I play, simply because it fucking looks cool.
It looks cool, and it's like you can decide, like, if your group's taking a lot of damage, you can heal the group with it, so you can use it as a heal if you want, instead of just like, I'm gonna pad with it, because it does both.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun to use. So yeah, I'd probably go that, unless things change.
I mean, do you think they're going to basically nerf it to the point to where it doesn't, like, they become unplayable again?
No, I don't think so.
Or do you think they're just gonna reduce it by like an appropriate amount?
Yeah, I think they don't need to change anything about Shaman. It's just that legendary. They just need to tune down a little bit. That's all. Like, maybe, I don't know, they could play with it. I hope they don't gut it. I'd like to see them like small tuning rather than let's just gut it and nobody will test it.
Okay.
I don't see them gutting it. What I see them doing is just making it into a button and just letting you have it, but having it be on a longer CD, like a minute 30 CD rather than a minute.
Yeah, so just to be clear, dropping the Wind Fury totem, like you don't need to do that as a shaman for yourself because you already have Wind Fury on your weapon.
Right.
So that's just for the group.
Okay.
It's just sad boy tank hours right now.
Yeah.
But like
yeah,
I was telling
something.
the other Steve in our guild who's maining a shaman, I was like, yeah, if this stays as it is, I could definitely see you going like LE for fortified weeks and enhancement for tyrannical, which is really cool.
Why
Until you have
wouldn't
to switch
you
conduits.
go enhancement for both?
Because it's all single
weeks?
target. All that damage was single target.
That 20k
can't-
burst.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
single.
that's
Mm.
That
all
was
into
on
one
So
thing.
it wasn't AoE.
No, that was
No.
single target.
Yeah.
That was the last
Oh.
boss in Plaguefall, the ooze lady.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I played with it, like you're still better off using other things for AoE as enhancement, you know, for keys and stuff, but when you get to a boss or like a big mob, yeah, they're deadly.
Makes sense. So let's see here. What else? What else did we have in beta this week? All right, let's talk about this one. This again, I think keeps referring back to Blizzard doesn't know exactly what they're doing with Shadowlands right now, because last week, again, we talked about this. XP got nerfed across the board that it took to level. This week, well, that's not the right button.
Nice one, bud. Nice one. We're professionals.
Oh god, I don't know what button it's on. It's mislabeled.
Oh no! Here we go. Here we go. No
that
pressure.
One.
No pressure.
I found it.
No
All right. They upped the XP again across every level. But they made it more XP per kill, but not
at lower.
I mean, not a ton more XP per kill. So, how close is this to the original pre-nerfed XP? Or is this like in the middle of the two?
That's actually a good question. I think it's in the middle of the two.
Yeah, I think so.
So I want to say like your 59 to 60 was like 580, and they brought it down to the 289. So I mean they've upped it a good bit. It looks like again they're balancing it more out to where your early levels are going to take a little bit longer, but your middle levels are going to take a little bit less, and then your last bit is going to be what you need to finish it off. So of course that should take a little bit more.
Right.
This makes me very intrigued as to who's playing with the numbers, because one week you take so much off, and then this week you add back on, what is it, probably another 25%, 15% back onto it.
Right.
Now, I don't want to take credit for this, but I did ask you guys last week. I don't know if you remember, but I asked you if you guys thought they'd retune it because it seemed like it was too much. I'm not that surprised about it. I kind of thought they were.
No, I didn't think so. I mean, I thought they might do a little bit on it. I'm confused on why they're doing what they're doing, because 50 to 51, 52, those all felt like fine levels, but now they're adding back to it to basically where it was originally. I don't know. Like, I feel like they're touching things that they shouldn't really be touching with.
It just seems like we're getting this a lot recently, to where one week they nerf something, and then the next week they're like, oh wait, never mind, like we went too far on that. Or it's just like we keep seeing this like flip back and forth with where like here's this change and the next week it gets reverted, and then here's the change this week and then it gets reverted, and it's just like
here's my thing with the XP, right? They know they have a very linear storyline. Like, they know you're going to start here, you're going to end here with a revenue grab. How hard is it just to sit down, have someone or have a robot do the playthrough of A to be not doing any starting or side quests, not getting rest XP, not doing war mode or doing war mode, whatever, and just see where it puts you. Because I think everybody here can agree, going into the mall, stepping foot in the mall, going to Revendreth, doing the last bit of Revendreth story, that you should hit 60 somewhere between the middle to end of the Revendreth story.
True.
I think everybody in this channel, everyone in this call can agree that that would be the ideal situation.
Right.
It's always how it has been. Yeah.
But now it was like, okay, we're hitting at the beginning of Revendreth, and now I guess this one is going to be you're hitting it somewhere in the middle, which I hope is what it is. But again, why not just have someone play through it and test it and be like, okay, this is how far off you are. Let's adjust it.
Well,
the back and forth thing just makes them look incompetent as shit.
Well, do you think they're trying to balance for people who want to do side quests versus people who don't want to?
I'm just going to point this out. They have a bunch of people playing this and testing it. They're just not listening to anybody.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They have a bunch of people playing it and testing it. The problem is like, you have people that take breaks. So you have, rest XP. You have people in war mode. You have people not in war mode. So you're getting different kind of answers versus them just running simulations.
I mean, true.
And just being like, this is what it is. This is what it needs to be. This is how it has to go. They have the tools to do that. I don't understand why they don't do that before they push it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I would almost say too, like, if at least this is what I would do, is I hope they're looking more at their pre-patch numbers and new player numbers than they are beta leveling. Because if pre-patch will hopefully teach them anything, it's that the long, arduous leveling experience that WoW is known for is just not what players are looking for anymore 15 years later. And especially with an expansion that's promoting you to have multiple characters, you're going to have a minimum of 4 just to see all the covenants.
True.
So personally, I think the leveling should just be extremely quick. I agree that you should end somewhere in Revendreth. I don't think you should have to do any side quests. I think if you do like a ton of side quests, that's your choice, and you should probably hit max level like by Maldraxxus, the end of that, or maybe an Ardenweald. But yeah, the long leveling days are kind of over. If you want to do that, go head on over to Classic, or they have Classic BC coming. No, that's not a shot. Like, I'm going to be there too. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, for
it's
sure.
nice to have the two different styles, right? You have the old guard, very long. You can go do that now, and then you have the retail, which is more about end game and just quick leveling. So yeah, I hope that they adjust it to whatever makes it as fast as possible to level. I don't think it should take a long time at all.
But
Fair.
by the way, it was brought up in chat, and I want to point this out. I don't think any of us have an issue with them throwing things at the wall in beta and seeing what sticks. I just think it makes them look really, really bad when they go basically 3 weeks in a row of changing something, and then reverting it, or changing something and then buffing it back. They're just on a very bad trend right now of looking at something, tuning it the wrong way, and then being forced to come out and say, we made a mistake, let's tune it back.
And
it's literally week after week after week of like the experience change came out last week, and now this week it's happened again.
But so before that, it was the legendaries, to where you got all the legendary nerfs, and they were like, oh wait, we're gonna be going through and tuning all the legendaries. Like, don't worry about all these nerfs that we just put out. And it's just constantly, it's just like 1 week they do something, the next week they almost revert what they did the week before, and it's.
But again, that's fine. That's not an issue. But like something like an experience system, that I think can be tested internally. That shouldn't be like, here, beta testers, this is it. I think beta testing should be more of like, find the bugs, find what's broken, find if there's any skills that aren't working properly. Having a direct path of this is how you're supposed to level, or this is how you can level, this is the experience gain, this is the progression of character experience. That I feel like is something that they should be looking at internally almost, and then being like, here, this is what it is. Try it for a little bit, see what you think.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's assume that majority of them they're focused on
what
on
happens when
leveling
we assume, right?
What's that?
You know what happens when we assume, right?
Oh God.
We get to great answers. So let's do this. Let's go.
Would you rather? Okay, so they pushed a leveling change out where like have people test it, see how they like it, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they were like, no, this is too much. We're reverting some of the XP changes back. Would you rather there be no changes at all on the beta?
My thing is did we really get to test it though? Like, how many people actually went through and was like, yeah, this is good, or yeah, this is bad? Like, that would be what I look at, is how many people actually went back through and leveled a character fresh to see what it was. Give me 1 second. I'm being summoned by the wife.
Well, just my thought process, my concern is rather than them having, like if they're testing all this internally, then it doesn't look like they're doing as much on the beta in our eyes, right? Like we can't see until they get the final numbers and they tune stuff. So like, yeah, I mean, I think like what a beta is for is for testing, is for changing and tweaking and all that. So that's where I'm coming from.
It is, and for me personally, it's just like, give us a little bit more time with things, like, because
like an experience change, in my opinion, like that is something that maybe you wait 2 weeks on and you're like, okay, this feels good, this feels bad, this is get a larger sample pool and something that is arguably an integral part of the game, right? Mm-hmm. Having it go, okay, we're nerfing it, okay, we're buffing it back. It just felt too quick of a turnaround in my book. In my opinion, it just felt too quick of a turnaround. At least on this aspect.
No, I can see why you say that. I'm just wondering. I'm thinking out loud, like whether it'd be more beneficial to have them test all this internally, because I mean, let's be honest, Blizzard isn't really known for their communication, so we probably wouldn't know that they're trying to test and tweak these numbers and all that until, okay, these are the final numbers that we found that are better. I'm just debating, like I'm wondering if it's better to have it this way versus them not tell us at all, and then finally, like 3 weeks later, then they've got their numbers or whatnot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
that's what I'm wondering.
I think Blizzard is doing fine, because I don't blame Blizzard for changing it. Blizzard came out like a month ago and said, we're not happy with what it is. This week we're adding a 40% buff. Let's see how it goes. They added the 40% buff, and the next week they're like, okay, well, let's change this back. And then they changed it. And now they're back to, okay, well, let's buff it. So we knew that this tweaking was going to come at some point, right? And I don't think the problem is tweaking it and how it's being tweaked. I think it's just the turnaround period for it should just be maybe an extra week on it. Maybe every 2 weeks, look at how the leveling is going and then adjust it accordingly. Versus 1 week we get a 40%, see how that goes. 1 week we get a massive nerf to the XP. Okay, let's see how that goes. And then next weekly, we buff it back up. I get they're trying to dial it in. I understand that. I think there's a way that they can probably do that on their end to be a little bit smoother, to get these numbers more dialed in. Because I also don't think that cutting the XP in half by 50%, 60%, and then buffing it back an extra 25 is a way to do it. That's just me.
Right.
So you're not happy with the changes, Steve?
No, I don't. This change I'm fine with. I don't mind this change.
It's better than them just the old way that we're used to.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We get changes every few months, maybe.
Absolutely.
Like this is like weekly. Every week we got stuff to talk about. So
the problem that I just have is it makes me very concerned when we see month after month of downtrending for things like legendaries, right? And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, and I guarantee you it's not out of nowhere. I guarantee you it's the community is giving them feedback of, hey, the legendaries feel like shit. They're not working. They don't make it feel useful. They don't make it feel powerful. You need to tune it up. All of a sudden, they're like, okay, we're going to tune it all back up. And then they just start reverting everything, and that's fine. And then just following that with the, okay, this is your Torghast changes, and this is back to where we were before. And then, this is the experience that we're looking at, and we're fixing that. But now we're going to go back to kind of where it was before, but not really where it was before. I don't know. It's just, it almost makes it feel like the last kind of 2 weeks have kind of been, while they're testing, not getting us closer. I mean, we're getting close to the answer, I guess, is a good way to put it. But it just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It makes them look kind of silly on the front of things, in my opinion. But I'm also a dickhead, so.
I guess my thing.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm fine with the changes too, but it's like, at what point do we stop with all these number changes and start looking at the bigger issues that are still in the beta? Keys and dungeons being completely bugged. Like, stuff still not working. Like, it just seems like every week right now is just number buffs and slight changes to conduits and legendaries, and there's no major class tunings really right now. There's no dungeon tunings or bug fixes for dungeons and that kind of stuff.
I mean, I guess that's kind of my point, right? Is like, we're having to, they're devoting so much time to an experience table that they should have probably tested internally on their own things, right? Like, that's something that they can actively test. When you're making a game, you could be like, okay, this quest through this quest, I'm looking at all the XP that you get, should give you this much XP. Will that equal out to where you want to be at the end of it? Like, that should be just simple numbers on their end tuning. But now, instead of getting, the class changes, the balance changes to dungeons, making sure that the weekly vault works every week, because that's still broken.
Right.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
I feel like some of this things that are happening right now when it comes to this experience testing and all this, and we're devoting so much time to it, that could be done on their end a little bit beforehand, put a little bit of forethought into it, rather than being like, okay, everyone go test leveling, but don't worry about the Great Vault not working. We'll get around to that eventually.
As far as class tuning, I kind of feel like they have done a bit of that, because this expansion, we have new borrowed power, and it's very strong. We have soulbinds, we have covenant abilities, and I feel like I'd rather have them try to balance that stuff first, because it's that stuff's going to affect how your class plays more than anything else, more than just doing a a number tweak to a certain ability. And they need to get those things right first, and I think then you will see the class tuning. And I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be very minuscule class tuning, with the exception of maybe one or two specs that need a lot of love, like Boomkin.
I guess my thing, because we've talked about this in Discord as well, is like, okay, so you go through, and I understand that probably a majority of the class damage and stuff like that is going to be coming from these borrowed powered systems, but you go through and you tune all this Covenant stuff, right? You tune your soulbinds, your conduits, your legendaries. You do class tuning at the end of it. Are you then going to have to go back and retune all of your conduits and your soulbinds and your legendaries again, because you did the class tuning last? And if you skeagle a certain spell too high, shut up.
Was that skew? I'm honestly asking.
If you tune a modifier on a spell, Ice Lance for example, too high, and then you have all these conduits and stuff that you have just buffed, then you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to revert all those number changes again.
But the thing with Ice Lance is you wouldn't have to tune it at all, right? If you adjust the soulbinds correctly, the conduits correctly.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, there are some things that are like, going back through and reworking things is okay. Take Case in point, what we're going to bring up next. The change that we're going to bring up next, I think, is a fantastic idea. I'm glad that they went back through and they looked at it and was like, maybe this is a better system or a better idea for the system than what we had originally planned. But again, how many months have we been going through the conduit changes and the soulbind changes and the soulbind trees of iterations and things like that? Like, this is, in my opinion, that is a good change.
Yeah.
And for them to kind of go back through and be like, hey, maybe we did it wrong the first time and now we're going to fix it, I think that is a good change.
Yeah, don't forget, a lot of the class tuning is conduits. Like, literally, a lot of the DPS conduits just affect a ability's damage. Like Frost Mage, Ice Lance, every DPS has one where it just affects your flat out damage of one of your spells. So a lot of the class tuning is already happening.
For sure. Before we actually get to the conduit change, let's just briefly touch on the trinket changes that they made, and then we'll get to the conduits.
They're basically Frost Mage trinkets. They're all getting buffed, even though they're all ridiculously broken.
Wow.
Good catch.
Oh my god.
We need Neri here with his little like sensor
catch. All right.
Caught that one.
By the way, didn't they buff the mirror for healers?
They buffed the mirror for no reason.
They buffed the soul igniter.
They buffed the soul igniter for no reason. They buffed the tank one for no reason.
Yeah,
I saw they changed the mirror, or they buffed the mirror, and I was like, all right. Like, I don't understand. I was looking at the tooltip for it, and the healing that it states, like, it has a cap on it, and it was doing way more healing than what it says, though. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just bugged.
It was critting for like 90k.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't, like, I don't, again, this is another one of those things I have no idea what they're doing with it, because some of the trees that they're buffing are so out of balance and so insanely well tuned, and by well tuned I mean they're way above where they should be, that they're just like, let's give them more power. Yes. Why?
Right. Like,
okay.
Okay, like I said, I just wanted to briefly touch on the trinket changes because I knew there were some. So yeah, let's talk conduit changes. So the big change to the conduit system this week, the trees got flipped upside down, essentially. What was on the bottom is now on the top. So your big keystone ability, or whatever you want to call it, no longer takes, like, what was it going to be?
40 renown.
6 to 8 weeks or something like that to actually get there.
This change, this one change alone gives me hope.
Yes,
for
sure.
They are immediately telling you, you have your capstones. Congratulations. This is what makes your soulbind strong. From moment one, they have learned that the capstones are what is important. The funky, fancy stuff in the middle, we'll get to that. But this key piece will teach you how to actually, like, this is what you're doing it for. And that is the best change.
Are you saying that my middle row where my weapon doesn't take durability damage is not significant?
Nope, it's pointless, James. It's absolutely pointless.
Hey, that'll save him some gold. What do you mean?
I used the guild bank gold.
This capstone change.
Oh, caught red-handed.
I'm just kidding. I
mean, that's why we're bringing in another raid team, is just to funnel the gold to the officer corps.
That's the real anyway.
All BOEs go to the guild bank. Dismount game for everyone. No, back on topic. Capstones. Just simply inverting the tree and putting the capstones at the top gives you so much better of a feeling.
I agree.
That's a great change. I got nothing negative to say about it. I got to look at it a little bit on beta this week and just really enjoyed the change. I think it's great.
I think it's perfect. Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, you got nothing left to say negatively about it at all. I think it's a great change.
Yeah, like there's really not a ton to really say about it. Really, like it's just a really good change. Like,
can you just leave that up and just maybe slide it up? Like,
keep
that
don't
makes me
stop
proud.
though, right? Keep changing it because like those
Keep
middle
doing it.
ones are pretty bad still.
For some,
Well,
some
what-
are pretty
what
bad.
would-
Some are really
what would-
good though. Like,
What would you like them? What would you like to see them change it to, though?
I don't know, something more fun, like maybe my character, like I don't know, shoots off fireworks when I barbed shot or something. I don't know, anything except for my weapon doesn't take durability damage.
I'm so proud of them. Dude.
let's just add a conduit for frost mages that gives you 100% uptime on time warp.
All right. Anyway, moving away. You can actually
Sure,
take it off the
yeah.
screen. Now I'm just getting upset about frost mage things again, and now I'm just hating the conduit system.
Maybe a
all
double,
over.
like we get 4 ice blocks.
Boy, all right,
Oh my God.
we're moving on here.
We're getting out of control with frost mage things.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, at least they're not fire mage things. Let's move on to, well, that was supposed to stay up as requested by Steve. Blue post.
No, you can take it down. It's fine.
About Torghast items, new Torghast items coming into play. They're not functional on beta yet. They were added in. I guess they said they'd be functional next week.
Yep. This one you may want to scooch up so you can put the other one underneath it, but you know, it's not my show. You run it how you want. Yeah, the items look actually really, really interesting as to what they're actually going to be able to do. I think this blue post was necessary. How it was talking about changing the soul binds, I think it was necessary to explain what they're doing with their renown interface, and honestly, the Torghast items and what their effectiveness is. I think is another good change that they're adding in.
All right, there we go.
Because I mean that's going to be directly tied to the main broker person that's in the mall. So
right. Any major ones that like really stuck out to you? Or are they just kind of utility things? I didn't really get a chance to look at them.
Well, there's one with the cordial reputation, the prosperity matrix. Basically, it's whenever you're inside of Torghast, you always get at least 2 anima choices when you're using Anima Horde as a power. So
okay.
like you're definitely, as you're getting that, you'll get more and more choice for anima power. Most of them is like frequency on damage taken in certain sections of the mall, frequency done in other things like that. But you get up to like the tentative reputation, and while in Torghast, your chance of receiving an epic anima power is permanently increased. That's pretty big. Like just opening that up and getting something that's permanently increased is pretty good.
Right.
No, I mean it's literally mall items and Torghast items that just allow you to get better and allow you to increase in power. It's just another power creep,
which I think is needed, right? Because they have made the Maw a lot more difficult than the first time I went in there, and it feels a little more dangerous now, and so I think these are needed. Otherwise,
I think these are the first.
Time.
These are probably the first set of mall changes that we've seen since they announced that they were going to be adding stuff into it, right?
Yep.
So I'm curious to see what else is coming down the road for it, and what else they're going to be adding in.
This is another one of those things where it's a good start. It's a great start that they're getting off on.
It is like these mall changes, the conduit changes this week are kind of a couple of the big things I think we've been waiting to see. And actually give you like, okay, maybe it's not going to be as bad as it was looking to be.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on mall changes, conduit changes?
I don't see any holy paladin buffs. Mike, thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's see here.
Mike, don't shake your head at me, okay? you know that I'm hoping for them just as much as you are. All right.
I don't think they're going to at this
I
point.
don't
I
think
mean,
they're going to.
I
Either.
don't think. Yeah.
they've done slight changes to Holy and Disc. They I guess they seem happy with where healers are at. I don't know. They don't seem to be touching them very much.
Yeah, it feels bad, man.
Okay.
Before we go on to the next thing, I would say spam the Discord link, and if people start having Q&A questions, this would be a good time for them to start putting them either in chat or in Discord. And I'll
that
take them
should be the new Discord link. If you guys have not joined the actual podcast Discord, that link, join it. We have a Q&A channel. Post questions in there for us. We'll be getting there in just a few moments. And we'll pull the questions from Discord, and we'll also pull questions from chat while we wrap up. So this next thing is actually going to be there's two big parts here. One of them just happened. Well, it happened this week, but it was just announced today, like publicly. So Castle Nathria, bleed buffs and changes. Yep. And then it hit today that Exorcist has transferred to Alliance.
Oh man,
it's
the first one to go. They will not be the last.
So, do we think we see more World First guilds follow this?
Yes.
Yep.
Or do you think it's not going to be actually that big of a deal? Because here's the thing: is like, have they buffed the bleeds back to their original state? Yeah, Bo. Exorcist transferred to Alliance.
They are the buffs and the amount of bleeds and everything else that is in Castle Nathria is just Dwarf and Dark Iron Dwarf too good. They're just
like if you're still Alliance and you're like, man, I've been wanting to go Horde because it's better. This is not the expansion to finally do that. Please don't. Like it's even in keys, even not looking just at raid, but in keys, there are so many poisons and bleeds.
There are like
so many.
There's a reason why my pally is a Dark Iron, specifically.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either. I think for DPS, I think you're right. I think Dark Iron might pull more than regular, but even with regular, you still get the removal of the debuff, which is so strong.
I guess my question is, how many guilds do you actually expect to see this come from? Do you think it's going to be a bunch of the guilds that were Hall of Fame last year? Is it only going to be those top couple guilds that are fighting for the actual World First title? Do you think you're going to see guilds that were maybe, because me and Seals were talking about this earlier, do you think you're going to see those guilds that were maybe like, let's say 110, 120 that like maybe just missed out on the Hall of Fame from like these raid tiers, put the money in to transfer to try to get like that Hall of Fame status?
I'm gonna be honest. I think you're gonna probably see some, and the reason I say this is I think you're gonna see some of the EU guilds probably do this. Maybe your Fat Shark Yeses or whatever. I think they're EU. I'm not 100% sure. But
they are, yeah.
I think some of them could possibly make the jump to Alliance. I don't see anyone on the Asian side of things kind of change because they are normally a group that sticks to what they are and sticks and plays it no matter what. So they make it work no matter what.
A lot of Asian guilds are already Alliance as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we look better and they play what they, looks better.
So,
and I mean, you're gonna find. I don't think Limit will do it. I think
I know Limit has said from watching Max, at least right now, he has said that they would not do it unless it's going to grant a decent advantage. I guess from what he was saying is the way the bleeds were originally in the raid, Blizzard toned down a majority of them. And the real major spot you would see the advantage of going to Alliance would be Stone Legion.
Just make sure the math is good on that, okay? We don't want another 1% Gahoon re-clear, okay?
I mean,
I'm serious because this could be a
ha-
huge mistake for Limit. Huge.
I was having this talk with, I think it was Killa earlier, and the fact that racials are so strong in these world first races, I don't see how you make the argument to not do dwarf or not do dark iron dwarf, right? Like Jaina literally got beat before reset because
of a racial
trolls.
Yep.
I don't how do you not look
I
at
don't think he wants to.
And just remember, it wasn't the berserk that they switched to trolls for. It was the voodoo shuffle.
Yeah, it was the voodoo
It
shuffle.
was the racial.
Yeah, that's literally all it was a passive racial, which is basically what dark iron is. Dark iron is it's a cleanse. Like if you're a world first guild looking at the boss mechanics, how do you not give it any sort of thought rather than just exiting it?
Because they just went into Omega debt and had to spend months paying it off, and I'm sure he doesn't want to go through that again. But if you start to see other guilds do it and it's working for them and they get maybe a boss ahead of you, I mean, I think it would be foolish not to at least. I think it would be foolish to straight up say no, we're not going to do it. I think that would be very.
Here's the thing. I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it before Mythic Week, obviously. B, you have to do it almost before Heroic Week, because if you don't make the swap before Heroic Week, you're gonna lose all those people that you just geared up during Heroic Week to take into like Mythic or whatever you're gonna take in to try to funnel more gear to your mains that are actually gonna be in there. So you have to make this change early, otherwise you lose so many hours that you just put into the prep for the Mythic race. So it's
the fact that Max is already kind of shoo-shooing it off and saying there's no way we do it makes me think that there may be a little bit of talk in their camp going, hey, we might need to. But I don't know how you can look at it and go, you have Kyrian Cleanse, which makes you immune for 8 seconds after you use a vial. Dark Iron, which is then, a cleanse of every debuff and a stat bump for every debuff that you cleanse. Or Dwarf itself, which is a cleanse, and I want to say it's like an immunity for 3 seconds for debuffs. Like, I don't know how you get around it. I don't know.
Right, yeah. So there's real quick, there's a couple things in chat that I kind of want to touch on. So Nightshade, I'm curious what the discussion is like, because he said it's a big discussion about it on EU from top guilds going back to allies. So I'm kind of curious about what the discussion is looking like on that side, because we are all NA.
I mean, you've kind of seen.
You have the first one.
Yeah. Which they're Russian, right? I believe
they are.
Yeah, this is Russian.
Yeah.
And then I do agree with you, Killa, is that I don't think for anything except those couple guilds that are actually in the running for the actual world first title, that it's going to make a huge difference for. But
right,
those
but that's
couple,
what we're talking about.
Those
right?
couple top, like basic, I would say that top 5 is where you're really going to see the difference in there. And look, they were very highly.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying is I think you cannot sleep on the racials. I really don't.
Nope.
I mean, you've got to bear in mind too with a guild, like transferring an entire guild, both faction changing and transferring the guild. Yes, they have gold, but it's a lot of money. Expensive. Yeah, it's very expensive.
A lot of money.
If you're not a world first guild, don't do it.
No, exactly. No, absolutely not.
So the bleeds that they're talking about is on like the first set of bosses and then the last boss.
Stone Legion. No, I don't even think there's a bleed on Denathrius. I think it's Stone Legion that they were
No,
talking
there is a
about.
dot on Denathrius. There is.
If
Oh, is
Method
there? Okay.
rebuilds Alliance, that would be. I would love to watch that. If they stayed Alliance, that would be. I'd love to have just a couple of them come over and just stay and just make it more diverse. That would be because we're talking about racials in terms of utility, right? But if you look at like Sims, for a lot of the classes, Alliance has been better for a while, just with raw damage numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like human has been very strong for a very long time.
True.
And now with the nerfs to secondary stats, you're going to see more people going for main stat. You're starting to see races like Draenei and Dwarf start to just vault over the people that were ahead of them.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, we thought we may have had a shot for Hall of Fame, and it's slowly dwindling.
Hey, I'm all right with that if it means more top guilds come to Alliance. That would be cool.
I mean, the thing is,
yikes.
like, unless you're in world first, it's not worth like the cost
really
or whatnot.
not.
But people have a tendency to follow what like the top guilds are doing.
This
so
is true.
That's why it wouldn't surprise me if like things tend to trickle down and reach the top 100 and then the top 200. So
for sure. All right, so
I don't think we need to talk about anything else on State of Beta. I think we've kind of
no. State of Beta is good there. Just interesting time, and I think the race to world first this time around is going to be super interesting.
I can't wait
to watch and see what happens.
This actually brings. I actually have a question for this. Do you think you're going to see them build the next raid out to be more like this one, to where it's more dot and based, or dot and cleanse based kind of deal, to where it will kind of give, you know, a little bit of an edge to the Alliance side, Dwarf and Dark Iron? Or do you see them doing something where they reverse it and they may give something next tier to where the Horde is a little bit better?
I don't know. I think it almost depends on the theme, right? So I think with Castle Nathria, your theme of Revendreth and vampires and that kind of stuff, it makes a lot of sense that you're going to have a lot of dots, you're going to have a lot of bleeds. It kind of goes with the whole theme of the dungeon and theme of the zone. So I think it's going to kind of depend on where it ends up. If, you know, the next raid comes out and it's in Maldraxxus or something, I could definitely see it maybe being very heavy on poisons or something along that line.
Yeah, I could see Kyrian maybe being like high in armor and physical damage.
Right. So yeah. I think it's going to kind of depend on what the theme of it is, and just kind of see, because I could almost imagine the Kyrian raid is just going to be not a lot of dots and stuff like that, but you were just absolutely going to get trucked with abilities.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I think like Maldraxxus has the potential to be very poison disease heavy. I feel like Ardenweald, even Ardenweald itself, can be very magic heavy.
Very magic heavy, very cleanse
for
heavy.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just think like they're setting some of these places up to be very, if they're sticking to what they're sticking to based on Revendreth, Dwarfs and Dark Irons are going to be really good.
Yep.
That's all
for sure.
Which sucks, because now I'm going to have to race change again.
Not me, Smile.
Well, it's not only like everyone's talked about the racial and all that, but I just want to say it's also a buff to Pally in a way, because we can remove.
All right. Anyway, moving on.
Okay,
anyway.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I would have to change is the Brewmaster over, but that brings us.
Mike does bring up a good point, and it is something we can't laugh over. Having all of the things does mean that paladins do become more useful.
Yeah.
Because Bop is a thing that can cleanse bleeds from time to time.
Yeah.
Same thing with bubbles, which means your immunity classes. If you're not one of those races, your immunity classes become even stronger. That's all I'm going to say. Mike, you're not wrong.
That's a good point, that your immunity, Does turtle remove bleeds and stuff like that?
No,
I don't think
it
so.
Stops them,
So
though.
it's
It
just a
stops
shield.
them.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, they'll deflect
so
them from coming, but...
your immunity classes do become a whole lot stronger compared to classes that don't have an immunity at that point.
Yep.
All right. So like I was gonna say,
I love you, Mike.
I would have to race change the Brewmaster. But moving into our quick main watch segment of the evening, probably not playing Brewmaster as it stands right now.
Oh, really?
Prot Pally just feels too damn good. And like we were talking about earlier with just how threat is and stuff on beta at the moment with tanks, they're one of the two tanks that they're still having issues with threat, but not nearly like anybody else. And they just feel, overall, they feel solid, very well put together. And as we just mentioned, the cleanses and stuff like that. You're a Dark Iron Pally, you have your Fire Blood to cleanse, you have your Bubbles to cleanse, you can cleanse diseases yourself. And poisons yourself, carrying cleanse. You have so many cleanses as a Pally that you're just too strong as a tank for Prot Pally this expansion. And like I say, they just feel really good, and I'm just having a blast on it. So,
go to Mike next.
Mike,
I don't really have much difference to announce.
All right, Holy Pally, moving on.
I mean,
that's why I wanted to get it out of the way. Just knock it right out. We'll just go to the next one.
Steve,
I mean, I played it on pre-patch. It feels good so far. Except for mana, which don't get me started. But other than that,
pre-patch specs are a trap, Mike.
All right,
it's been fun so far.
Hold on, before you move on to that, are you gonna play the Holy Paladin in the raid next week?
Yes.
Okay.
All
right. That's fine.
Steve, thoughts on your main after tanking this week and raging in Discord for an hour afterwards and rage quitting beta?
I really want them to fix tanks. I really would like them to fix tanks, and I don't mean prop paladins. Clearly, prop paladins and vengeance demon hunters are fine.
Right.
But like, I want to be able to play my bear and have my bear feel good, and it's just doesn't. I want to sit there and be like, man, my big fucking beefy bear looks and feels beefy. It just doesn't, dude.
And then prop warriors are just like over in the corner.
No, prop warriors aren't even standing up. They're not even standing up. They're not even in the conversation. But unfortunately, I tried bear and it's not great. It doesn't feel good. It absolutely just, it feels like bear, but it's not. It's just not good bear right now. So unfortunately, I'm stuck in the boat of probably going to be prop paladin. Unfortunately, unless they do something to make DKs or monks really, really appetizing.
When was the last time that bear was really like
WAD?
Was really good. WAD.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still viable. Like you still have people.
No, you had
like
a tier in
30s.
Legion where you had double guardian for the run.
The initial tier was good, and that's simply because their health pools were bigger, and Mark of Ursol was still in the game.
Well, no, you had Stampeding Roar too. That was what they used it for. Double guardian in Legion. Hello.
Blood DKs are very good. I just cannot bring myself to play a DK.
No, DK, like, let me rephrase. DKs are fine. I just hate the fucking playstyle of self-healing tanks. That's just all it is. I like mitigation tanks better than self-healing tanks. So that's why I would not play a Vengeance Demon Hunter. That's why I don't play a DK. I just prefer prop paladin. I prefer bears. I prefer, the LOL monk style of tanking, Let me hit my AMs to actually be tankier rather than let me hit my healing, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. All right. James, Frost Mage or Enhancement Shaman?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, if Steve's going bear, I might have to go rogue, so when I pull thread, I can just vanish, so I won't get killed in keys.
I'm not going bear. I'm gonna probably go prompt paladin until they add another shit.
All right, then I'll only slightly consider rogue because I think I'll still pull thread off your prop alley.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, I mean that, but you didn't have a single fucking thread issue with my prop paladin before they
bring my frost mage if you'd like.
Yeah, whatever.
Spark. No, I don't know. I said before the expansion, if they bring Wind Fury back, I will play Enhancement Shaman, and if so,
okay, yeah, I do remember you saying that.
It's back, and if it stays back, I'm playing Enhancement Shaman.
All right. Drinks of the week.
There's only one drink. There's only one.
Yeah. All right. So first shipment of
we didn't actually do that, did we?
Of our sponsorship came in today.
Well, we have to be clear. We're not actually affiliated with this drink.
We are not.
But we're open to being affiliated with it.
But yes, I picked up some Aspire energy drink today. Actually, it's really good. This is the mango lemonade flavor. No calories, no sugar, no carbs. It's like keto, gluten friendly or non-gluten friendly, whatever it is, that kind of stuff. Tastes good. It's like slightly carbonated if you don't like real carbonated drinks. It's kind of like a sparkling water type carbonation to it, but yeah, it's not loaded with sugar. Lots of good stuff in it for you. And the difference that I learned with these is the actual base of it that it's made from is green tea compared to like other stuff. So it's actually a green tea base that they make their stuff out of.
That's great.
Yeah, like again, it's actually really healthy for you, especially with the green tea base. So yeah, I mean the sucralose in it isn't the best, but it's way better than high fructose corn syrup. So
corn shit.
Corn shit. I mean, it is.
I don't want none of that corn shit in my drink.
I mean, hey, it's yeah. That's the thing. For an energy drink, it is healthy for an energy drink. It's also not loaded with caffeine. Like it's 80 milligrams of caffeine for a can, so it's about as much as a cup of coffee. So you don't get all like the jitters and everything like that. So
I've got one too. Yep. I have the mango lemonade Aspire energy drink. I'm not a big energy drink guy. I don't like caffeine, so I only had half of it, and that was plenty for me. If I would have drank the whole can, I think I would have gotten too jittery.
That's what I have.
Did you all actually get Aspire energy drink?
Yes. I have a whole 12-pack out there. Yeah.
I didn't get a 12-pack. I just got like a can.
The mango lemonade sounds pretty good.
It's really good, Mike. Yeah,
it's good. So I got the mango lemonade, the apple acai, and the raspberry acai is what's out there.
And the acai.
Acai. Okay, whatever. I've heard it both. Okay, I'm done with you all.
Scones is on the wall. The scones on the wall, dude.
Done with you all. Oh boy, we got some some juicy questions from chat.
Well, we got some good questions.
Before though, I just want to say I have a Gold Peak lemonade, or not lemonade, California raspberry. Wow, it's pretty good. It's sweet tea. It's a little bit bitter, a little bit more bitter than I like, but it's pretty decent. I didn't know if you knew I had a tea too, but I bought it for tonight. So
sweet.
I've got agua because I'm healthy.
I love raspberry tea.
Very nice.
Yeah, raspberry tea is good.
I've actually drinking 2 of these in the podcast. I'm just being healthy.
All right.
Being a healthy
way to stay hydrated.
Yep, dude. Hydration bot ain't got nothing on me.
All right, let's start with the Q&A. From Killa, where is my infinite Torghast? I think you're gonna see it be introduced in a later content patch.
Maybe.
Possibly.
I don't know where are my dances from Cataclysm.
We talked about
Dance
this.
Studio.
We did. We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
I think the infinite part of Infinite Torghast is it's something that will come in a later patch. It'll be something that is like the end of the expansion. and that is going to be their equivalent of Mage Tower, to where they're going to open it up in the last patch or whatever, middle patch, and be like, if you hit this, you're going to unlock this cosmetic reward. That's what I think.
So Blizzard soon.
Could just be in his dreams though. They might have given it up already.
They've already started it though, right? Like they're opening up each individual different wing, and they're letting you go to 8 on each individual wing, and then they're telling you that there's going to be more wings that open up, and then they've had it in place where there is that infinite mode, right? So I do think that there's going to be some sort of Mage Tower-esque type thing in Torghast at some point where you get a cosmetic for doing certain levels of Torghast.
True. Yeah. Okay. From Bella, and I'm not sure on this one, so we'll see if anyone else knows. Did the cease and desist order from Overwolf go through, and will WowUp.io still be the go-to? So do we have any updates on?
I don't think we can get updates legally. Is the problem.
And I think until they come out and say something about it, we won't know anything.
I hope not though, because I'm using WowUp and it's great.
Yeah,
I am too. WowUp, it's awesome. So hopefully,
their site is still up. Just checking now. I don't see any news about it.
What I'm saying is there's been no real breaks in updates. Like I think it's still going on. Like I think that's an ongoing thing.
James, this one's for you. What's a Frost Mage?
No, that's not what's a Frost Mage. It's what's a Forced Mage.
What's a Forced Mage? Okay, I'm sorry.
Is that like a druid, a forest?
Did I say forced? Is that
I don't know, dude.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
That question came from not Steve.
What's a forced mage? Can you clarify, Steve, if you're in the chat? He misspelled it. What is a Frost Mage? I mean, it's a great class. They have tons of cool abilities, and you only press one of them.
Anyway, we're doing Iceland's things again.
From Toasty, is our raid going to be 2 tanks, 4 healers, and 14 forced mages?
Basically, that's what we're thinking.
that's what we're going with right now. Because
no, don't forget. Well, wait, no, we do have a Demon Hunter tank, so we're good. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you get the 5% buff. You're fine.
It's like when Method went, what was it, like 14 affliction locks? I can't remember what tier,
yeah, it was,
but I remember the screenshot.
It was Unat when they were progging on Mythic Unat, and it was 14 locks. It was stupid.
It's gonna be just like that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe throw in a couple enhancement.
Super juicy question.
Before we get into this, I want to cap this conversation at 5 minutes.
Yes, because
we don't want to hear a lot about this.
No, keep this short. We can talk about it more in Discord later. We were talking about it right before the podcast started. So thoughts on Limit Preheat being demoted from officer due to the cease and desist order on Preheat with 2Es, the smaller streamer and YouTuber, and how it was handled by Max and leadership in Limit.
Hold on. Before we go, hang on. I'm actually getting it on my phone because I really don't want this to go longer than fucking 5 minutes. Go.
I think as of right now, it was handled how they should have handled it, with only finding out the information recently, like the official information recently. I think it was handled correctly. As of now, it depends on how the situation develops and how it is handled with more developments and whatever happens later down the line. That's just my take on it.
I think the whole situation's unfortunate. I think it was kind of, for lack of a better word, I think it was kind of scummy. The action, not the demotion. I don't know if demoting from officer is appropriate punishment. I don't know, but I think there should be some form of punishment for this. I don't think I don't think it was appropriate to cease and desist and all that sort of thing.
I just heard about it today when I got home, so literally don't know much about it. I know that I believe the YouTuber, not the world first raider, was the first preheat or whatever. I don't care. It's a name, like it's a creative mage name. Or you really think that there's not going to be somebody with a similar name? Like I saw something from a video, a React video, and I saw some DMs. And the YouTuber guy that got the cease and desist seems like a really genuinely nice person. The other one does not. He seems extremely insecure and jealous, and just I don't know. I don't know the guy, so you know, take that for what it is. I don't know him, but yeah, I think it's pretty petty to go after somebody's livelihood and their, especially with the pandemic that's going on and the job market like it is, and you're trying to take bread off a guy's plate because he has a similar name to you that's not even spelt the same. That's petty, dog. I don't like it. That's all I got.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. That guy needs to be buried in a deep, dark hole. Like, the name is not even spelled the same. The guy had YouTube content under that name for like 7 years at this point. If you're going to sit there and cease and desist a guy that's literally been on the platform longer than you have, I don't know, man. Get locked in a basement somewhere and never come out. That's just stupid. And then sitting there and try and go, well, I'm doing it to better my
protect my financial stuff due to being laid off from COVID, and
that's just
decided
scummy,
to
man.
make our content creation thing an actual business and LLC. It's
well, as far as the demotion, I didn't comment on that. I believe it's fine because they are under a microscope, being the top guild in the world right now. They are also sponsored. They literally have their sponsor in their guild name, Complexity Limit.
Yep.
You cannot have officers behaving like this when you have a sponsorship.
And that was the big thing, is it did not line up with what they expected of their people and the way their people should be acting. And like I say, I think for now, I think it was handled fine. And like I say, just depending on how the situation plays out and goes forward, I think, we'll have to see how it's handled throughout that. But it was quick, swift, decisive action. And
let's play a little game here, because James, you and I are, officer, raid lead, etc. If we were a contracted esports organization and we had an officer, say Cody, acting up like this because there's some guy named, CKCardiac on Twitter or Twitch or something, or YouTube, and Cody made himself look like a jackass, would you even hesitate for a second to demote him?
Well, first of all, I would never let that happen. First of all, like, you communicate, and Max should have known this was coming. If he didn't, that's on him as a guild leader. You can't have this. And if you communicate with your players, and if Max did nothing wrong, right? Because I don't know how their day-to-day is, if they talk every day and Preheat just kept this under his coat, then yeah, I would almost even kick him out of the guild.
Well, apparently Preheat was feeding him other information, and
so he was lying. So that's bad.
That is what I got out of it, because I watched the whole video. I know you didn't have time, James, but from the looks of it, the people in the guild were being fed other information about than what was really going on.
Where have we heard that before?
I was about to say, this sounds very similar to the exact situation in another world first guild.
I think you have a UI from that person, right?
Unfortunately.
Look, I'll be honest though, like all he has to do, if he comes and he says, look, man, publicly, he's like, I'm sorry, I was being petty, I regret what I did, I'm dropping the case, then I'll forgive him. No big deal.
Like, really, the ball is in his court to handle it and squish it or fuck it up more. That's pretty much it.
We're at 5:50 now. We're at 6 minutes, no more.
Do the right thing. Drop it and apologize.
Do the right thing. Yep.
All right, moving on. Now that juicy question's out of the way. From Boet, guest on the podcast when? Soon.
TM.
So
Like,
we talked about it. We talked
we-
about it after the show last week.
We keep talking. Yeah, we keep talking about it. We're just trying to figure out a good time when, especially when there's a lot of content to talk about and stuff like that. So yeah, soon. LJ will definitely not be the first guest. I am sorry to burst all of your bubbles.
Dude,
boy.
you know the man's in bed right now, right? He's never gonna make our podcast.
Look,
So-
I see him in chat sometimes though.
But we have thoughts and ideas for people that we want on. We have thoughts and ideas for people that we thought would be good fits for the podcast, and we're waiting for times at which their thoughts, ideas, and things would become.
Yeah, and the big thing right now is we want to be able to give people a heads up on if a guest on the podcast type thing. We don't want to basically spring it on the person. So obviously when Shadowlands actually comes out, it will be a lot easier to do that, to say hey, 2 weeks from now we want to do a episode mainly on Mythic Plus and the state of Mythic Plus and that type of stuff, and we can kind of go with that. So but yeah, soon.
Yeah,
soon.
we were talking about possibly getting an all tank one. We were talking about possibly getting an all healer one, an all DPS one, and possibly setting it up that way to where we have different people to talk about. So I think soon we will have a trial run with a guest soon.
From Chrono, what do you guys think about the pace of leveling, such as a time frame from 50 to 60? I think it's still gonna be right around probably the 10 to 12 hour mark.
Yeah, I haven't played with the new leveling experience yet, so I can't comment on it.
The new where they
The
put
very
in the
new
second
one.
changes for the
Mhm.
Yeah,
experiences.
it's
That-
hard to
that's
say
in?
right now.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we're still looking at 10 plus for a decent pace. I think if you're pushing 8, if you're 100% know where you're going, getting through everything perfectly fine, no bugs, I think 8 is going to be world record, your first ever kind of deal.
Probably. All right, final question of the night. Steve, did your face feel like a naked mole rat now?
Yes, it's also very fucking cold in New York, and I'm upset that I shaved it and then it got cold.
Yep. That's what
Why
happened.
did you shave
Mine.
Because my wife said I looked fuzzy, and I was like, fine, because I value, my wife.
Fair.
Smart man.
Happy wife, happy life.
All right.
Oh, you missed stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did miss stuff. I'm sorry.
You missed things.
I was gonna say
The
my
question
wife-
is, does he have it ready? You don't have it ready, do you, Cody?
No.
It's okay. I'll let you stall for time here. So my wife said that she'd like a full beard, and that's how I got a full beard.
Nice, dude. Does she
There we
like
go.
it?
Yeah, she loves it.
Cool.
I want to grow it longer though. I want it way down.
Viking chest beard.
If you grow it
Oh,
long,
yeah.
can you braid it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't see why not.
That'd be great.
I had mini braids in mine, dude. There was one day I had mini braids in mine.
Okay.
So his, absolutely.
I'm going to post this in chat. If you guys have not been on Twitter in the last 2 days or so, we have made
Nice, dude. He didn't even link that.
What is that? What is that? Oh no.
Okay, let me go. Oh god, that's Twitch. I'm scuffing everything. It started out so well. It's ending
Anyway,
so bad.
We're gonna just scuff Cody out of this conversation. We have made a guild Twitter. The purpose of the guild Twitter is for tweeting people's streams out, tweeting things like this out, trying to get eyes on the podcast, try to get eyes on some of our streamers that are going on. We tweeted out Boet's birthday, and there was 6 or 7 people that had never seen Boet's stream before, that I know had never seen it, liked the tweet, retweeted it, and it's just exposure. I did the same thing for Mike's stream. I did the same thing for Zazu's. If you have a Twitter and you tweet, the guild will follow you back, tweet back, retweet, and other things. When we start doing other content and things, we'll be putting like clips and Twitch clips and all that kind of shit through the Twitter. Guild Screenshot is something that me and James are talking about trying to put together, of having the individual raid teams find a spot like on Ice Crown Steps, taking it a screenshot on Ice Crown Steps and posting it on the Guild Twitter. Yeah, it's links in chat. If you have a Twitter and you want to follow, follow. If you don't, whatever. Also, another reminder, the Aspire Black team has head count tomorrow. That means be in Discord at 9:30. We'll sort ranks, make sure everybody can get into the raid channel. If people want to raid afterwards, that's something we can talk about afterwards.
Yep.
But tomorrow is simply head count day. Need to be in Discord. Need to have it happen. Reminder will be put out in Discord at some point tonight or tomorrow morning. Cody, you scuffed that so stupidly hard.
I did. All right, let's continue to scuff the outro, shall we? Mike. Oh God, what button is it? There it is.
I got 2 in a row this time because.
All right. Yeah, yours got scuffed last week, so
I froze. So hopefully I don't freeze there. You can find me everywhere as Creation Defaced, except for on Twitter, where I lost my D. So it's just Creation Defaced. You guys like that line?
One day we'll find that D.
I'm keeping that line. I don't care. I love it. Right now I'm finishing up Spooktober. We got quite a few more scary games to play, and I hope
what are we doing tonight, Mike?
Oh yeah, and I'm playing Phasmophobia tonight as well. With all the podcast guys.
Yeah, so right after this, I'm gonna shut down stream for a few minutes. That way the VOD can be separated for this. And then I'll pull the stream back up with super spooky alerts, jump scare alerts, and then all 4 of us are going to play some Phasmophobia. And since Mike didn't play with us last night, we're going to send him into all the super scary spots alone and call the ghost on him.
Nope, that's you, Cody.
That's you.
You stood in the van the whole time.
I'm going to continue my cozy van.
Nope.
All right, on to Steve.
Hi, Gozerian, Aspire, Twitter liaison. I'm going to be streaming Phasmophobia. Streamed Phasmophobia yesterday with the boys and Killa. Did a little bit of Phasmophobia earlier today with Killa. Going to be streaming after this. That's all I got.
All right, James.
At the Ranger44 on Twitter. Ranger44 on Twitch. Yeah, that's me. Hello.
When are you actually going to start streaming?
Probably Shadowlands. I just have to hook up my webcam.
I saw a Twitter post. You were going to start streaming.
You saw that?
It was a couple years ago.
You finally give me a follow?
It's got to be any time now.
Anytime.
It's got to happen at some point, sooner or later.
You gotta dangle them a little bit, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Join the Discord if you're not part of the Discord. Join the Discord.
All right. I'm Cody.
Don't have to plug that either.
You can find all my socials around the screen. They're all the same name. More stuff coming out on YouTube here in the coming weeks. Got some dungeon guides for beta and stuff that I'm going to be putting together. And yeah, gonna, like I say, shut down the stream here for a few. We got to do our post wrap up off stream for the podcast. And then we'll be back with some Phasmophobia. Again, podcast, Discord, click the link, join it. So yeah. Any closing thoughts or anything like that before we go?
We are taking podcast suggestions, so if you see things that would make the podcast better, Q&A stuff, thoughts for the show throughout the week, if you put them in the podcast Discord, we will read them and we will touch on them possibly. So feel free to be interactive there. Yes, that's all I got.
Yeah, please, seriously, if you guys have thoughts and stuff for the podcast, please let us know. I've been taking feedback, especially for like audio stuff over the past couple weeks. I think we've almost gotten all the audio stuff figured out, and
I had something.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Just wanted to give a shout out to Neri. He got a world first in Hitman 2 on the
Shut it
PC
down.
today.
Shut it down. Just shut it down.
He did a 29-second, the final test level, and he's #1 in the world right now,
All right.
representing Sweden. So, my man,
Pog.
good job.
Very good.
Big
I thought James was gonna say the buff Frost Mage or
He-
whatever.
He
Again.
did it in 29 seconds, and he dethroned Mexico by 1 second.
Wow.
Ooh.
Pog.
hog.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for tuning in. Be back shortly with some super spooky, scary stuff that you can make me jump and scream and
15
cry
minutes?
and all that kind of stuff. About 15 minutes, yeah.
15
Sounds
minutes.
good. All right, later, guys. Thanks
Bye,
for
everyone.
hanging out. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Are we out?